Let me make sure everything is turned down. Hey everyone, for those who are watching, welcome to my first ever concept art series. Or excuse me, welcome to my concept art series on how to draw. In this session, you will learn how to draw architectural backgrounds and environmental backgrounds. What makes this special is because when we get to a certain point of our sessions, I'm going to move all the advanced techniques to my Patreon. So make sure you subscribe to my Patreon account and join the community. Also, the reason why I was absent, I couldn't do my live stream last week is because fortunately I wasn't feeling too good, and I had to get some rest. I had to get some rest for a couple of days due to a nasty headache. I'm definitely feeling better. I'm excited to kick things off with y'all with this concept art series. With that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so your first lesson in this throughout this concept art series will be on perspective grids. Okay, so okay, so bridge basic geometry with environmental motion, showing how a camera lens dictates a visual tension. In other words, when you illustrate a background, don't make don't make it flat like a front view and then just make it appealing. Get Give it some dynamic angles. You know, make it feel like make the person who is excuse me, make the person who is looking at your work immersed in their world. Excuse me. Now, the core content elements, the horizon line, the eye level, your absolute structural anchor, it controls where the viewer's eye rests and establishes the base camera height. Then after that, it's the vanishing point matrix, understanding that linear perspective is not a set of rigid math restrictions, but a map showing how objects shrink as they move as they move away from the lens. Let me get rid of this. Now, here's going to be a question. Why is it important? Now, great concept art does more than set the scene. It shapes the entire world by showing what lies in the distance. It creates a sense of scale and depth that draws viewers in. That draws viewers in. It makes every setting feel alive. So, in other words, whenever you create a post-apocalyptic setting or dystopian setting, make make the world feel immersed with it and make it interesting through different angles, from a high angle or a low angle, and all those actually have a strong role to play, which you will see throughout this series when I teach you more when I teach you more throughout the series. Now, perspective is just as important. The right angles and lines of sight change how the audience feels. A low angle can make a tower feel imposing, while a high angle can turn a city into a maze. These choices aren't just technical, they're emotional, giving every piece a unique impact. Now, context brings the world's story to life. Weathered walls, unique architecture, and tiny details reveal who lives there, what they've endured, and how the world works. Good concept art turns lore and ideas into a vivid visual reality. So, in other words, when you create your concept art, it's not just a environmental background piece. It's it's one of the first steps of creating your worlds. In other words, world building. This also falls under the category of what religion do they serve? What is the world? What is the political atmosphere like? How do they travel? What is the currency like? All those you need to consider when it comes to creating your concept art. And then background perspective and context. These elements empower the whole creative team to imagine bigger and build worlds together. Excuse me. Excuse me. Before I continue, friendly advice. If you have any ideas on any kind of background art that you have going on, make sure you write it in your notes. Make sure you write in your notes on how you want to create your worlds. and just take your time. Sometimes in the beginning, it can be very overwhelming. Very close introduction. All right, let's get to the first of many grids that we will be exploring throughout this live stream. The 1 point perspective, linear, focus, and scale. Now, the slide objective, define why, how, and when to deploy a single vantage point for a high impact environmental staging. Now, why it matters, it creates an immediate, inescapable focal path, locking the user's gaze directly onto a central target. How to use it, place your horizon line, set down a single vanishing point, pull your layout lines outward across the canvas, then align your flat primitive boxes straight along those guides. And then of course when to use it. Best for symmetrical interior corridors, long post-apocalyptic streets, deep railroad tracks, or dark tunnels where you want a sense of overwhelming linear distance. And just to clarify, the 1 point perspective doesn't always have to be in the middle. You can technically drag the vanishing point to your right if you try and get it at a really good angle, or to the left. So keep that in mind. Now, 2 point perspective, corner views, and structural mass. Now, why it matters? It breaks flat frontal compositions, allowing you to showcase the structural volume, thickness, and material mass of a building simultaneously from two sides. In other, now, in other words, when you create creating use you, excuse me you utilize the 2 point perspective, you're not just showing a building, you're actually showing what's right beside the buildings. The best way to describe it is if the character is going down, it is in a city somewhere, is within a city, or their local home, or some type of housing community. How to use it: place a horizontal line wide across your workspace. Position two vanishing points completely off your active canvas frame to prevent severe distortion. Draw a single vertical corner line, then pull lines from top and bottom back to both points. As you can see here, the lines in the middle, the vanishing point is on the left, and vanishing points on the right. So when you create the 2 point perspective, you're gonna have vanishing points on opposite sides. When to use it: it's best for exterior architectural designs, city intersections, street corners, and custom prop blockouts, where showing the physical thickness of a wall is critical. And last, but certainly not least, the 3 point perspective, the cinematic scale, the bird's eye view. Now, why does it matter? It introduces vertical convergence, creating a powerful illusion of extreme height, depth, and or vulnerability. Excuse me. How to use it: establish your standard two wide horizontal points. Introduce a third point far above the frame for a worm's eye view looking up, or far below for a bird's eye view looking down. Every vertical line must now tilt toward that third anchor point. When to use it: it's best for cinematic establishing shots, looking down into terrifying ruined canyons, looking up at towering megastructures, or building overwhelming environment files that emphasize the small scale of a character. Excuse me. Now, my best example for the 3 point perspective from from the bird's eye view looking down is actually one of the favorite is one of the iconic manga panels or iconic anime scenes in Naruto Shippuden, where Pain clearly destroyed the Hidden Leaf Village. He was going to activate the attack, and they actually position the camera angle in the bird's eye view. Where from we're looking at from his perspective, he's looking down on them, but from the audience perspective, or excuse me, the civilians inside the Hindley village, they're looking they're looking at him up. They're looking up at him. Okay, so since we got those explanations out the way, let me let me close this. Let me save it. Now, if you have any questions about this specific breakdown, drop them in the live chat right now, and I'll clear them up before we jump into the live. Excuse me. This was from a previous session, and I'll drop them into the live demonstration that for what we're about to do. If you're watching the replay or pre-recorded later, drop your questions down in the comment section. I monitor those regularly and reply to as many as I can. Let me know if something isn't clicking. Otherwise, let's load up our next workspace. Now, from what I've explained in the beginning, we're going to translate it into the buildings. And our main focus is perspective. So we're not going to worry about the minor details. The point is we make sure you learn how you can create backgrounds in perspective. Starting with the 1 point perspective. Now before we get started, let's teach you how to create grids. Just real quick. First you go to your polygon tool. Make sure you have this set up to shape. Make sure there is no fill color. The stroke should be 1 or 2, whichever your preference is. It should be unconstrained. The start ratio should be 1%. It should be from the center. And there should be 100 sides. After you put that in, this is what you should get. There we go. This is what you should get. Excuse me, let me get my pen. Let me set up my layout. Ooh, that's not it. There we go. Okay, now we're about to begin. You have any questions, let me know. Also, other than that, you have a sketchbook, grab your sketchbook and grab a ruler, and let's get started. Now, when creating the buildings, make sure you get the outline of the buildings. Okay, I'm about to close this, see how it looks. Looks good. Now let me fix this part right here. All right, now let me show you a trick. Go to your image, put the canvas. That that way it'll be easier for you to draw the other side. And a friendly reminder, our main goal for this session is to focus on perspective, not necessarily on the clean line work. Yeah, right. Okay, let's clear this. Let's increase the opacity for this one. This is our example of a one-point perspective based on what we talked about in the beginning of using the shapes. Now we are translating it into the buildings. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what and this is what the vanishing point. This is what the vanishing point is. So there's your first example. Now we're gonna move. Now we're gonna move forward to something challenging. If you find this very and you find this valuable, make sure you leave a like. It pushed me into the algorithm, as well as don't forget to subscribe because I create content like this every week. So we're going to move on to our next example. Next, we will work on the 2-point perspective. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use the polygon tool otherwise known as our perspective grid, in a different manner. I'm going to stretch this out. I'm going to bring it to the middle. We're going to bring the path selection tool. Now we're going to bring the direct selection tool. Select all the lines. Then we're going to drag it. Then after we do that, we're going to copy it. We're going to copy and paste it. Control J, Control T transform, right click, flip horizontal, and we move it to the opposite side. And just like last time, we're going to move our line in the middle. We're gonna flip our canvas. Right, we're making some progress. Now comment now comment below. What is what is something that you struggle with as an artist? I'm curious. Just something quick. I'm gonna fill this part up. Alright, here you go. This is your example of a 2-point perspective. Now we're gonna move on to our final one. If you enjoy this, make sure you leave a like. If you're watching this pre-recording, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are new. I do live streams like this every week at a different time, primarily 9 o'clock. Oh, this one's already done. Alright, the last one that we're doing tonight is the 3-point perspective. Particularly, in this angle. Doing it from a bird's eye view from an upward angle. Okay, just like what we did last time. We create our grid again. Go to your transform tool, select this, drag the first one, drag the first one to the bottom, to that middle piece. And that's how you create one. All right, I'm not gonna waste too much time. Let's get this one out the way. Give me a second. Hmm. Excuse me. Sometimes I get caught up on the small details. See how it looks. Let's refine some areas. Okay. Okay, that should be good for the fundamentals. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so for your task, yeah, for your task, I want you to find a picture that you like, and if you have access to Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint, make sure you apply the principles that I just applied here on this live stream. Excuse me. And make sure you use the grid technique I've actually applied throughout this entire session to help you create your perspectives. And what you can do is actually send them to me through email. You can find it through my website. Link is in the description box below, or simply follow me on Instagram and just DM it to me, and I'll share it on my story. But other than that, that's excuse me. But other than that, that's all. That's gonna be all for tonight. If you want access to this template that we worked on throughout this tonight's session, it will be on my Patreon. Make sure you join and become a member because when the time comes, all the advanced techniques will be moved to my Patreon. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. This is Ken Justin Creations signing out. Stay safe and God bless. Have a good night.